Have you ever felt like no matter how much you study, your English just isn't improving?
You're learning new words, watching videos, even practicing grammar. But when it's time to speak, something still feels off.
The problem might not be what you're learning, but what you're doing wrong.
That's right. There are bad habits that secretly ruin your English, and most people don't even realize they have them.
Today we're exposing 9 bad habits that are holding you back from fluency, and we'll show you exactly how to fix them.
Some of these might shock you, and you might even realize, oh no, I do that too. But don't worry, we've got solutions for everything.
So if you're serious about improving your English and sounding natural, stay with us till the end. This episode is going to change the way you speak.
Let's get started.
Let's start with a big mistake: mumbling. This is one of the worst habits that can completely ruin your English.
Oh yes, mumbling happens when you don't open your mouth properly and your words sound unclear or mixed together. Instead of saying, I want to improve my English, a mumbler might say, unprofessional.
Exactly. And when you mumble, it's really hard for others to understand you. It doesn't matter how great your vocabulary is. If people can't hear you clearly, your message is lost.
And here's the thing, many people don't even realize they're mumbling. They assume others understand them, but in reality, their words sound like a blurry mess.
Some people mumble because they're shy or afraid of making mistakes. Others do it because they speak too fast or lack confidence. But guess what? The more you mumble, the worse your English gets.
Let's do a quick test. If you're listening right now, try saying this sentence out loud. Today is a beautiful day, and I am feeling great.
Now, say it again, but this time, speak with half the effort. Barely open your mouth, lower your voice, and let the words blend together.
Sounds unclear, right? That's what mumbling does to your speech.
Let's discuss how to fix mumbling. Open your mouth more. When you speak, exaggerate your mouth movements. Imagine you're an actor in a theater. Every word needs to be clear.
Slow down. Many people mumble because they speak too fast. Take your time and pronounce each word properly.
Practice in front of a mirror. Stand in front of a mirror and say, I will speak clearly. Open your mouth wide and exaggerate the movements.
Record yourself. Speaking, take a short recording of yourself reading a sentence. Then listen to it. Do you sound clear? Or are your words blending together?
Use a cork or a pen trick. Place a cork or a pen between your teeth and try reading a sentence. This forces your mouth to work harder and improves your pronunciation. If you fix this one habit, your English will immediately sound 10 times better.
Absolutely. Clear speech equals confident communication.
Have you ever noticed how some people use the same words over and over again? It's like they're stuck in a loop.
Oh yes. Imagine someone saying, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy. It sounds so boring, right?
Exactly. But now imagine if they said, I am excited. I feel absolutely thrilled. I'm over the moon.
See the difference? Instead of repeating happy again and again, they're using new and interesting words. That makes their English sound richer and more natural.
And here's the worst part. When you keep repeating the same words, you don't learn anything new. You're keeping your vocabulary small instead of expanding it.
Many English learners do this without realizing it. They find a comfortable word, like nice, and use it for everything. The food was nice. The movie was nice. The weather is nice.
But what if, instead of nice, you said, the food was delicious? The movie was fascinating. The weather is pleasant.
Wow, that makes your English sound so much better.
Now let's discuss how to stop being repetitive. Build your word bank. Every time you learn a new word, write it down in a notebook. Try to use it in your conversations the same day.
Use a thesaurus. A thesaurus helps you find different words that mean the same thing. Instead of beautiful, you can say gorgeous, stunning, or breathtaking.
Challenge yourself. The next time you catch yourself saying good, stop and replace it with a better word like amazing, fantastic, or wonderful.
Learn words in context. Instead of memorizing long lists of words, learn them in real sentences. For example, Instead of just learning the word fascinating, learn the sentence. The book was so fascinating I couldn't put it down.
Practice with a friend. Play a game, pick a common word like happy and try to list 5 different ways to say it. This will make learning fun and interactive. If you stop being repetitive, your English will instantly sound more advanced.
And people will love listening to you because your words will be interesting and expressive.
All right, we've fixed repetition. Now, let's move on to bad habit number 3. Have you ever heard someone say, "This is the best thing in the universe," when it's just, okay?
Yes, that's called exaggeration. And while a little exaggeration is fine, doing it too much can make your English sound unnatural or even fake.
Imagine this. You ask your friend how their weekend was, and they say, "Oh my gosh, it was the most incredible weekend in the history of the world."
Wow, really? What did they do?
I just watched a movie at home.
That's a classic example of exaggeration. It makes your words lose their meaning.
Exactly. If everything is amazing, incredible, and mind-blowing, then nothing is. People won't take your words seriously.
And here's the problem. When you exaggerate too much, people start doubting you. They might think you're not being honest.
That's why it's important to balance your language. Instead of always saying, "It was amazing," you can say, "It was quite good. This is the best thing ever." You can say, "This is impressive."
This makes your English sound more natural and believable.
Let's talk about how to stop exaggerating. Be more specific. Instead of saying, "That was the best meal ever," try saying, "The pasta had a rich, creamy sauce and the flavors were perfectly balanced."
Use mild words for everyday things. Instead of "that movie was the most amazing thing ever," say "that movie was really enjoyable."
Ask yourself, is it really that extreme? If you're about to say, "This is the hardest thing in the world," stop and think, is it really the hardest thing?
Save strong words for special moments. Keep words like amazing, unbelievable, extraordinary for situations that truly deserve them. This makes them more powerful when you actually use them.
Now, here's a fun challenge for you listening. Think about the last time you exaggerated. What did you say? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to see some funny examples.
Yes, and let us know. What's a word you overuse too much? Maybe you say awesome for everything, or literally all the time. Drop your answers below.
Alex, we'll be reading and replying to your comments. But now, let's move on to the next bad habit. Have you ever had a conversation with someone where they keep saying, I think, maybe,
Oh, yes. And by the time they finish their sentence, you've already forgotten what they were talking about.
Exactly. Hesitating too much makes you sound unsure even if you actually know the answer.
Imagine you're in a job interview and the interviewer asks, "Tell me about yourself." And you say, well, I like, talking to people.
Oof, that doesn't sound very confident, does it?
Not at all. But here's the biggest problem. When you hesitate too much, people might think you don't know English well, even if you do.
And the worst part? If you keep hesitating, you start to lose confidence in yourself. You'll feel nervous speaking English, which leads to even more hesitation. It becomes a bad cycle.
So, how do we fix this? How do we stop saying, all the time?
Now talk about how to stop hesitating while speaking practice. Thinking in English. If you always translate from your native language before speaking, you'll hesitate more. Instead, try thinking directly in English.
Use simple sentences. Many people hesitate because they're trying to make perfect sentences. But guess what? Simple is better. Instead of worrying about complex grammar, just focus on getting your message across.
Learn filler words, but use them wisely. Native speakers also pause when speaking, but they use natural fillers like, "Well, actually, let me think for a second." These sound much more natural than,
Practice speaking out loud every day. Pick a topic and talk about it for 1 minute without stopping. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes, just keep speaking.
Record yourself and listen. Many learners don't realize how much they hesitate until they hear themselves. Record a short speech and count how many times you say or then try again and reduce it. So, here's a fun challenge for you. Record yourself speaking for 1 minute about your day. Try to reduce hesitation as much as possible.
And let us know in the comments, what's the hardest part about speaking English for you? Is it hesitating, finding the right words, or something else? We'd love to hear from you.
Now let's move on to the next bad habit. And this one is a huge mistake. Have you ever met someone who tries to sound super smart by using complicated words?
Oh yes, instead of saying, I'm trying to improve my English, they say, I am currently endeavouring to ameliorate my linguistic capacity.
Haha, that's way too much. It sounds unnatural and even a little funny.
Exactly. Some learners think that using big words will make them sound more intelligent, but it actually makes their English hard to understand.
And the truth is, native speakers don't talk like that in daily conversations. Imagine ordering a coffee and saying, I would like to procure a caffeinated beverage to invigorate my senses.
The barista would be so confused. Just say, can I get a coffee, please?
So, what's the solution? Keep your English simple and natural. Let's discuss how to sound smart without overcomplicating everyday language. Instead of, I am currently experiencing a state of exhaustion, just say, I'm really tired.
Don't try to impress, try to communicate. The goal of language is to be understood, not to sound fancy.
Learn natural phrases from native speakers. Listen to real conversations, TV shows, or podcasts to hear how people speak in real life.
Here's a fun challenge for you. Take a sentence with complicated words and rewrite it in simple English. Share your sentence in the comments.
We'll be reading them, and we might even correct a few. Now, let's move on to the next bad habit.
Have you ever heard someone say a word wrong again and again without realizing it?
Yes. And the problem is, if you keep saying a word incorrectly, people might not understand you.
For example, some learners say salmon with the L sound, but it should be salmon without the L sound.
Or they say Wednesday instead of Wednesday.
And sometimes, even if people understand you, mispronouncing words can make you feel less confident.
But don't worry, you can fix this. Now talk about how to improve your pronunciation. Use a dictionary with audio. Apps like Google Dictionary or Cambridge Dictionary have audio pronunciation. Listen and repeat.
Watch videos and copy native speakers. Find a YouTube video, pause after a sentence, and try to copy the way the speaker talks.
Record yourself speaking. Record your voice and compare it to the correct pronunciation. Do you hear a difference?
Focus on difficult words. Write down words you struggle with and practice them daily. Let's do a fun challenge. Comment one English word that is difficult for you to pronounce. We'll help you with the correct way to say it.
Yes. Now let's move on to the next bad habit.
Watching English movies is great, but if you never speak, your English won't improve.
Right. Some learners think they can just watch movies, listen to podcasts, and read books. But if they never practice speaking, their English stays stuck.
Imagine trying to learn how to swim by just watching videos about swimming. Will you become a good swimmer?
Of course not. You have to get in the water and practice. Learning English is the same. You have to use it. Let's talk about how to make learning active. Speak English every day, talk to yourself, record voice messages, or find a language partner.
Write in English, keep a diary, post on social media, or comment in English on videos.
Repeat what you hear. Watch movies and repeat what the characters say. Copy their pronunciation and rhythm.
Teach someone else. Explaining English to a friend helps you remember better. Here's your challenge. Write one sentence in English in the comments. It can be about your day, your hobbies, or anything.
We'll read and reply to as many as we can. Now, let's move on to the next bad habit. Have you ever heard someone speak so fast that you can't even understand what they're saying?
Oh yes, it sounds like a race. Something like, I wanna tell you something, but I don't know if you can understand me.
Exactly. Some English learners think that speaking fast means speaking fluently, but that's not true.
In fact, if you speak too fast, people might not understand you at all. Imagine ordering food at a restaurant and saying, "Can I get a chicken sandwich with fries, please?"
The waiter might just stare at you and say, what?
But if you speak at a natural pace, your words will be clear and easy to understand.
Here's a fact. Even native speakers don't speak super fast all the time. They pause, they emphasize important words, and they let their sentences flow naturally. Let's talk about how to control your speed and speak clearly. Take a deep breath before speaking. This helps you slow down. Focus on pronunciation, not just speed. Make sure every word is clear. Pause between ideas. Short pauses make your speech sound more natural. Practice with tongue twisters. They help with clarity and control.
Challenge time. Try saying this slowly and clearly. I will speak at a natural pace so people can understand me.
Now, let's talk about the last and biggest mistake English learners make. Here's the truth. If you never practice speaking English, you will never improve.
Some learners spend years studying grammar, watching videos and reading books, but when it's time to have a real conversation, they freeze.
They say things like, I don't feel ready to speak yet. I'll practice later when I know more English.
But guess what? That day never comes. You can't wait until you feel perfect. You have to start now.
Imagine trying to learn basketball by only reading about it. You can read every rule, but if you never pick up a ball and play, you'll never become good at it.
English is the same. The only way to get better at speaking is to speak.
Now talk about how to start speaking English today. Don't wait until you're ready. Start speaking with what you know. Talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. Join an online English speaking group. Practice with real people. Speak to a friend or record your voice. Get comfortable hearing yourself speak. Here's your challenge. Leave a comment in English and tell us what is the hardest part of speaking English for you.
We'll read every comment and reply. Let's keep learning together.
We covered a lot today. Here's a quick recap of the 9 bad habits ruining your English.
Mumbling. Being repetitive. Exaggerating too much. Hesitating too much. Overcompensating with big words. Mispronouncing words. Relying only on passive learning. Speaking too fast. Avoiding English conversations. And don't
If you have any of these habits, start fixing them today.
forget to subscribe for more English learning tips.
See you in the next episode of Quick Learn Podcast.